Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for being here. It's an amazing panel, and I could ask a million questions, but I'm going to focus on one topic, which is something Mr. Walters has brought up, which is the cartels south of our border. I mean, you've noted quite emphatically they're a major national security threat to our country, of course, and they're in bed with the Chinese Communist Party, to the point where Chinese Communist Party actively facilitates their activities, the precursors to fentanyl, and their financing. There's a couple things you said that was interesting. Does the goal of reducing overdose deaths, that goal, does that work if we only focus on harm reduction? Or does it increase?
Yeah. It's with the best of intentions, we've reversed our policy priorities in such a way that we've created a catastrophe. We wanted to stop people from dying. We wanted to work on prevention. We wanted to have more treatment. But the problem is, it's a misunderstanding of the phenomenon. The supply causes the harm, and we're being overwhelmed here. Right. I mean, if I wanted to be glib, I would say it's like fighting a war by building field hospitals. The enemy can cause harm faster than you can repair it here, and you've got to go. Now, we used to talk about when I was in government, going back to the Reagan administration, working on drug policy, we talked about a balanced strategy between supply and demand. I think right now, I would say this is all about supply. Right. That the flow of supply will cause the harm, just because we have certain freedoms, we have certain things that I say we can't end.
Right. You at least have to mitigate it, which I think you point out really well in your testimony, is that the war on drugs is about mitigating the threat. It's not that we're saying we'll ever just eradicate it. You're never going to eradicate the human need for self-harm and addiction. It's just not going to happen. But focusing back on the intelligence community, do we apply sufficient resources to the cartels and their alliance with the Chinese Communist Party?
Oh, I don't see what I used to see, but I would doubt it seriously that we don't need to lay down. And when we talked about, asked a question about successes in the intelligence community, the enormous success was after 9/11, there wasn't a major attack on the homeland. That is mind-boggling, and that required enormous intelligence linked to action to stop that kind of threat.
And what would proper resource allocation look like? Would it look like an equivalent of a counterterrorism center? Would it look like a joint task force specifically looking at this problem? Or do we need to just build upon infrastructure that already exists?
I don't know what the state of the current counterterrorism structure is, but my inclination would be you either need to build onto that, the narco-terrorist mission, or you need to create something that's parallel. Now, we have a different problem because we're going to have a significant amount of domestic law enforcement tied to this, that it's going to be separate. But look, we did that in the drug war. I mean, and I was there at the beginning of Bush 41, where we had to settle battles between the CIA and the DEA. It wasn't perfect. You have to bump along here, but we also rolled some capacities in that really made a difference. And what you had with when I was working with President Uribe during Bush 43, we were pretty aggressive. We didn't advertise it, other things were going on, but we can do a lot of things when we decide to do it, and you don't have to do a lot of it. These guys are not people who want to die for their commitment. They want to make money.
I'll take this opportunity to make a pitch for a bill that I've been passing around on both sides of the aisle, which is an authorized use of military force against the cartels or anyone that produces and traffics fentanyl. You know, it's important to note this is not just kinetic in nature, right? This is diplomatic leverage, and more importantly, this is authorization for collection that the DoD is currently not authorized to do. What is your opinion on that?
I think that's helpful. I think beginning with the standard of this will not continue. The American people have an interest, that their leaders have an interest, and we're going to say this stops now, and we're going to use these tools. You're going to have to use some military tools, I agree, and I think we're going to have to use some others, but we can cooperate with the Mexican government in an enormous way to help them.
This gets to my next question, which I'll kind of open up to the panel, because this is a broader strategic question, which is, what leverage points should we press with respect to Mexico to get them to act and cooperate with us better? I'll leave it there.
Unfortunately, I think it's tough. A cooperative relationship like we had with Colombia is probably not on the cards because Mexico is allergic to that kind of American intrusive involvement, even though it would be in their own self-interest to let it happen. And right now, our relations with Mexico are so hinging on the border issue that it's hard for me to imagine that we have a whole lot of leverage. Look, at some point, we're going to have to modernize the USMCA. There's things in that for Mexico as well as for us, and the question is, could this, and I'm not an expert on it, I've already told you more than I know on this particular issue of drugs, but are there things we could put into the next phase of USMCA that Mexico would perhaps sign on to because they would like the overall package? I would at least look at that.